So I just wanted to talk a little bit about organisational change, and it's one thing having everyone in the same room and talking about planning and the transition amongst us, but how have you all worked with staff in your teams to support them with the transition, have them all on point, and I guess getting them on board and excited about the NDIS? I'll start with you this time, Donna.
I don't know about excitement. I think it was more terror than anything else, to tell you the truth. Look, I think it's been a very difficult process for staff, or for all of us, because we've come from not-for-profit. We've come from an area where we're not looking at dollar per hour type of services. And for me, I think, and for the staff, that was one of the biggest changes. Was it's not like you get a sum of money and you can see a family on a monthly basis if that's what they want. If you've got a certain amount of hours, you will need to be actually doing those hours in order to pay your staff, because that's what your budget's going to be. So having that attitude change of thinking about billable hours, I think, has been quite a big change for our staff. The other thing has been how to actually articulate the model. I mean, transdisciplinary care worker is quite complex at times, and it's been the team leader that's normally been the person that has sat down and worked that through with families. But if you've got people that are coming up wanting to know what your service is all about, what it looks like, why you do things this way, well, everybody needs to be involved in being able to articulate that, and articulate it really well. And also be able to explain why your model of service operates in that way. So that, I think, was quite different. We had to create marketing tools that we'd never had before. Brochures, we're going and speaking to paediatricians. Some of our brochures had to change because we were talking at a different level than what we were with families. So that's been quite a big shift for us. So I think the whole thing of going from a not-for-profit space into a market space has been a big learning curve for everybody. But in saying that, I think our staff have been brilliant. Nobody's left. So, and we started off with 41 children within the Barwon region. It's quite small. We've now got 63. So it's actually growing, which for us is a real positive. But look, it is a big shift for staff, but I think we've been fortunate in Noah's Ark, and I would say probably the rest of the organisations would say the same thing, but we've had our CEO down there talking through things with the staff. We've had some team building type of consultants coming in and working with the staff around what the issues might be for them, what the concerns might be. And I think if you all work that journey together, it's been a much more positive experience.
I think for us, in terms of staffing, bringing the staff along with you on that journey has been one of the most challenging things, in terms of, I think probably for me, it's been about the accountability. And that's what's one of the biggest things or positives that I see with the NDIS is the flexibility for families. But one of the biggest challenges is the lack of flexibility for service providers. And I say that in terms of, you all know when you're providing service to families at the moment, that you'll have times where that family might drop off for whatever reason, and it'll just slow down, not disappear, but slow down in terms of whether they're going on a holiday, or we deal with a lot of children who are chronically ill and they might not be able to have service for a couple of months, or different things like that. The priorities for the family are changing at different times. There isn't that flexibility, or as much of that flexibility in service delivery. So one of the things that we really had to look at was all the way back to a new way of thinking, in terms of, this is the staff member, this is how much it costs me to employ that staff member. If I divide that by 168.26, which is how much money I get per hour for an NDIS service, that staff member has to see this many clients a month. And that's how you have to work it. Or saying this many clients, this person has to provide this many hours of service per month. Because it's not just seeing the clients, it might be writing a report, doing an assessment, looking at other things in terms of service provision. So you need to be able to take that into account. Then you've got to have those conversations with staff around, well, if that family isn't available, what are you going to do with that time? So in the flexible space of block funding, you can look at other clients and think, well, I can just give you a little bit more service. You can still do that in the NJS space, but families have to have that, staff have to have that conversation with families around those families that if I have a cancellation, would you be available to have another service? Would you like me to visit kindergarten? Would you like me to do that? So staff need to do a lot of work in terms of having a separate caseload of those families they know they can contact if they've had a cancellation.
I'd probably like to say don't underestimate what you already know, because it is change, but it's actually okay change as well. And I think if you can take it, you already know a lot, and it has turned into a bit about money, and I don't think that was the intent. It's meant to be for the families and a better service, but I think that there's a lot of anxiety out there, and it is about the unknown. For Glastonbury coming in with the experience in my particular experience in early intervention, I guess, and the knowledge that I've brought with that, and having other staff in the team that have worked in this space before, we've taken our staff on a journey, and we actually hired a consultant to work with us on and develop up program guidelines and practice manuals. And we talked to a lot of the providers, so we went out and we sourced the information, because we had the same questions as you. What does it actually mean on day one when we get a child? How does that child land on our doorstep? And then what do we do from that? Do we do the intake visit? Do we do a joint intake visit? Then how do we move from this bit to that bit? And having some sort of concept and idea in your mind, and actually be able to develop some documents to give your staff, so everyone understands what's expected of them and what the flow chart and how the system actually works. It's very helpful and reassuring for staff, rather than just going, okay, here's your client, off you go. There's a lot of similarities from what you're currently doing that you'll be able to take across. You already do family service support plans. Probably a lot of you already do individual learning plans as well. So I would say don't underestimate that, what you already know, because you've got a wealth of knowledge, and it's just different. It's the same but different.